This recording is a continuation of Chapter 25, Section 2 and 3 notes. I left off on this slide where I talked about becoming better environmental citizens, and I'm going to pick up talking about the Earth Charter. So the Earth Charter was a plan that outlined a blueprint for building a more sustainable society. When this was written, basic principles of environmental protection and sustainable development were utilized. It was developed initially at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1992, and then was finalized in March of 2000. So it took about 8 years to write this whole thing completely. 100,000 people from 51 countries, which included 25 leaders in environmental science, business, politics, religion, and education, all contributed to the formation of this Earth Charter. The Charter itself outlines 49 principles as a part of an ethical and moral framework for sustainable living. Excuse me. And when writing these 49 principles, they followed 4 guiding principles the entire time. So the first was to respect the earth and life in all its diversity, to care for life with understanding, love, and compassion, to build societies that are free, just, participatory, sustainable, and peaceful, and to secure Earth's bounty and beauty for present and future generations. Now, this charter is great, and it's a wonderful outline for sustainable living, but the reason why we haven't heard a lot about it is because countries don't want to subscribe to it, or they don't want to adopt it in their policy, because it is a very big shift. It's going to change economies, it's going to change how we live and how things develop. So politicians especially are wary of adopting this. Economists are worried about this. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to the Earth Charter and kind of changing that lifestyle. Another thing we can't undermine is the role of religion. About 50 to 75% of our population are active members in a religion. Only about 10% of them have to be mobilized in order to produce a powerful change. So locally united communities are often the best way to bring about change. So think about all of the political revolutions we've looked at. Philosophical and doctrinal differences don't deter most from coming together under the cause of practicing stewardship of the earth, so protecting nature, or at least in doing so individually within their own groups. So religion is not stopping us from protecting nature. It actually might drive that protection or drive that call to action. As a society, we have the knowledge and financial wealth to make a transition to a more sustainable environment or to more sustainable living, but we need action. We are able to cause that revolution. We've had an industrial revolution. So a lot of environmental leaders now say it's time for that environmental or sustainability revolution. And it would have to have several interrelated components. First, we would have to protect biodiversity. This means sustaining genes, species, natural systems, and chemical and biological processes that make up our Earth and that drive the processes that happen on Earth. We need to commit to eco-efficiency. So we'd have to reduce our waste, we'd have to reduce our waste of energy resources, and reduce the amount of matter resources we need to produce things. An energy transformation would have to occur as well. We'd have to devote things to decreasing our dependence on carbon-based, non-renewable fossil fuels and increase our reliance on renewable energy from the sun, wind, water, biomass, geothermal heat, or hydrogen fuel. We'd have to prevent pollution based on a commitment to reduce environmental degradation and stop wasting and creating products that create a lot of waste. So, for example, paper towels or the reuse or the throwaway Swiffer cleaning pads, those kind of things. We'd have to emphasize sufficiency. So we have to meet our basic needs of all the people on the planet, while affluent societies would have to learn to live with less. Demographic equilibrium. We'd have to bring the size and growth rate of the human population to a balance with the Earth's ability to support that number of humans. And we'd have to have economic and political transformations. So the good news is, while everything can seem very hard and like big changes, and it is easy to get in that apathetic mindset, the good news is, according to social science research, if we convince 5 to 10% of the world's population, we can bring major social changes and bring about the sustainability revolution. That is the end of chapter 25, section 2 and 3. Make sure you get your flashcards done. If you have questions about this, make sure you ask during class.